Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a big stack of information, cut through the noise, and get you the key insights so you're informed without feeling overwhelmed. Today, we're diving into a really major shift happening over on YouTube. It's something that's going to change how millions of us use the platform. We're talking about YouTube's new AI-powered age verification system. It's a pretty significant policy change, and it's rolling out in the US on August 13th, 2025. We'll explore what this system actually is, try to get under the hood of how it works, figure out why YouTube is doing this now, and crucially, what it means for you, the user, and also for content creators. We've looked at official statements, some really deep analyses, and this is fascinating, a whole bunch of real user reactions from places like Reddit and other online forums. Okay, let's unpack this. So the core of this whole new thing is what they're calling a sophisticated age estimation model. It's powered by machine learning, and it's a really fundamental change from, well, the way it's always been, right? Just telling them your age, the honor system. This AI is going to try and figure out if a user is under 18, totally separate from whatever birth date you might have entered when you signed up.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I think, is YouTube saying very clearly that they aren't collecting new types of data for this. Instead, they're just leveraging the huge amount of user activity data they already have, just using it in a new way.
Yeah.
Their stated goal is to better tell the difference between teens and adults so they can give, quote, age-appropriate product experiences and protections.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they frame it as just enhancing safety features that were already there, but the method is, like you said, pretty revolutionary.
Okay, using what they have differently. But why now? Is this just YouTube trying to be ahead of the curve, or is something else pushing them?
Oh, it's definitely part of the bigger picture. This move is pretty much a direct reaction to this huge wave of international regulatory pressure that's been building. You've got the UK's Online Safety Act that came into force July 2025. It puts some serious legal duties on platforms. We're talking potential fines up to 10% of a company's global yearly revenue. That's huge.
10%, wow.
Yeah. And then Australia announced a social media ban for kids under 16, and that explicitly includes YouTube by December 2025. Plus, back in the U.S., you've always got the shadow of COPIA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Remember, YouTube got hit with that $170 million fine back in 2019?
Right, I remember that.
And on top of that, there's a growing number of state laws, California, Florida, Georgia, New York, all pushing platforms on age verification.
Okay, so it sounds like instead of trying to build, 50 different systems for 50 different laws,
Exactly.
YouTube's building its own system and hoping everyone just accepts it.
That seems to be the strategy. It raises this important question. Rather than customize solutions everywhere, they deploy their own proprietary system. It feels like a strategic compliance move. The aim looks like establishing their AI model as the sort of gold standard for age assurance globally, maybe even shaping how future regulation looks. They're definitely trying to get out in front.
Wow. Strategic compliance. Okay, so let's bring it back to the user. If this AI flags you as under 18, what actually happens? What changes will you notice?
Well, a standard package of teen protections gets automatically switched on. For users, probably the biggest change you'll see is with ads. You'll only get non-personalized ads.
And that's a big deal, right? Because personalized ads are where the money is for creators.
Huge deal. Targeted ads really drive creator revenue, so that's significant. You'll also get automatic digital well-being tools, things like Take a Break and bedtime reminders. Probably not a bad thing for most people, actually.
Yeah.
The algorithms will also tweak things to minimize suggesting problematic content over and over, things like social aggression, body image stuff. Plus, you'll get privacy reminders. Your uploads might default to private. And there are even restrictions on some creator monetization things like GIFs on vertical live streams. It's a pretty broad set of changes.
It really sounds like it touches a lot of parts of the experience. Let's dig into that AI black box a bit more. How is it actually guessing your age? That's where it gets really interesting, I think. What's it looking at?
Yeah, so the model figures out your age by looking at a, quote, variety of signals that are already tied to your account. The main one, the biggest signal, is just your YouTube activity. So analyzing patterns in what you search for, the specific kinds of videos you look for, and the general categories of content you watch, over time.
Okay.
Account longevity is another big clue. I mean, an account that's been active for, say, over 10 years, statistically, it's much more likely to belong to an adult.
So it's the whole pattern, not just one video you watched yesterday. That makes sense. But what about things lots of people like? Like, I'm an adult, but maybe I still watch, Minecraft or Pokemon videos sometimes. Does that suddenly make me look like a kid to the AI?
That's a really common concern. And YouTube has tried to get ahead of it. They've explicitly said that watching genres popular across all ages. They mentioned Pokemon, Minecraft, anime, Roblox specifically, that won't, by itself, get an account flagged as a teen.
Okay.
They stress these interests are for everyone. The model is supposedly looking at a holistic picture, combining lots of different signals, not just fixating on one interest.
Okay, that's probably a relief for some people listening. Now, does this age flag stick just within YouTube, or does it follow you around other Google services?
It can follow you, yeah. If your account gets flagged as a minor on YouTube, restrictions might automatically kick in on other Google services linked to that same account. So things like disabling the timeline feature in Google Maps,
Yeah.
the thing that logs where you've been,
Oh, wow.
and even potentially blocking access to adult-rated apps on the Google Play Store.
So what you watch on YouTube could stop you from using Google Maps timeline or downloading certain apps. That's quite interconnected.
It is.
Now, you mentioned they chose this behavioral analysis instead of, say, making everyone upload an ID or do a selfie scan. That avoids some immediate privacy backlash, sure, but what's the flip side? What are the implications of this sort of passive surveillance?
You can put your finger right on it. Choosing behavioral analysis over biometrics definitely sidesteps that initial upload your face outcry. But, and this is the crucial part, it sort of normalizes this continuous passive monitoring. Every click, every search, every video view is feeding into this evolving algorithm-driven age profile of you, and it creates this system where you can be, well, effectively convicted of being a teen by an algorithm you can't see or understand.
Convicted by an algorithm. That's a strong way to put it.
It can potentially lead to what's called a chilling effect, right? Where you start consciously changing what you watch or search for just so you don't get misclassified. It's subtle, but it's a really significant shift in our relationship with these platforms.
Yeah, that chilling effect idea is powerful. And look, no matter how good the AI is, mistakes are going to happen. Models aren't perfect. So what happens if you're an adult and the AI gets it wrong? Flags you as a teen by mistake. What can you actually do about it?
Okay, so you'll get a notification telling you this has happened,
Yeah.
but correcting it, the entire burden of proof is put squarely onto you, the user.
And how do you prove it? What are the options? Because it sounds like it could be a major hurdle.
They are limited and, yeah, pretty invasive. Your choices are upload a photo of a government-issued ID like a driver's license or passport,
Okay.
or provide credit card details, or submit a selfie, which they then likely run through another AI, a facial age estimation one. And that's it. There's no other appeal process.
Wow.
It basically works like a data toll, you know? You have to pay with your sensitive data to get your proper account status back.
A data toll that really captures it. And this is where, looking online, you see a lot of anxiety and just plain skepticism, right?
Yeah.
People are really worried about error. I saw some comments like on Reddit, people genuinely fearful. One guy, 40 years old, worried his history of watching like lawn care videos might make the AI think he's 75, which is funny, but
It highlights the fear, yeah. The anecdotes are really revealing. A 33-year-old who watches videos about dinosaurs and real-life ghost stories said they felt absolutely fucked, worried about being misclassified.
yeah.
Another, a 52-year-old K-pop and horror fan, was worried their interest in slime videos might trigger the flag. And a 24-year-old user with autism who watches doll videos and has been subscribed to kid-friendly channels since 2015 is scared they'll be flagged as 13.
That just perfectly shows the anxiety, doesn't it? It feels so arbitrary based on interest, and people are worried about the constant watch. Like, what if autoplay just randomly sends you to a video that happens to be popular with kids? Does that trip the wire?
That's a common question.
And some users, even ones with accounts old enough to, legally drink, they just don't trust YouTube to properly factor in account age, despite the reassurances. And then there's that whole Death Stranding loophole thing, remember that? Where fancy facial age systems on Discord and Reddit got completely fooled by an animated video game face. It just shows these systems aren't foolproof.
Not at all. And that's why digital rights groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, are really speaking out. They argue these kinds of mandates are a fundamental threat to basic open internet principles like free speech, like online anonymity. They basically see it as mandatory surveillance. And they worry it could disproportionately harm marginalized groups, people who might not have easy access to official ID. A core fear they raise is the massive risk you create by gathering all this sensitive ID data in one place. It becomes a huge target for hackers. Imagine a massive data breach of IDs and cell phones.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Ultimately, they argue, it pushes us towards a new kind of digital divide, where being able to fully participate online depends on having and being willing to hand over state-approved ID.
Okay, so huge implications for users. What about the creators, the people making the videos? How does this shake up their world on YouTube?
Well, the impact for creators is kind of twofold. It hits monetization, and it could hit content strategy. On monetization, YouTube has actually acknowledged creators might see a decrease in ad revenue because, like we said, accounts flagged as teens only get shown those non-personalized ads, and they just don't pay as much.
Right.
Now, YouTube says this will probably have limited impact for most creators, but you can imagine, for a community that relies so heavily on ad money, that's a major source of stress.
Yeah, limited impact might still be a big deal if it's your income. And you mentioned content strategy. How would this affect what creators actually decide to make?
Well, indirectly, yeah. Think about creators whose stuff naturally appeals to a wide audience that includes teens, especially in big areas like gaming, animation, vlogging. They're the most exposed here. The worry is that the fear of having a big chunk of their audience suddenly demonetized could create a kind of chilling effect.
Oh, that phrase again.
Right, where creators, maybe consciously, maybe not, start steering their content away from anything that an opaque algorithm might decide looks too youth-oriented. It's almost a form of, like, soft censorship driven by the economics of the algorithm.
So the algorithm isn't just sorting content, it's potentially shaping it before it's even made. That's interesting. Okay, zooming out again. How does YouTube's approach here, this behavioral AI, compare to what other big platforms are doing? Is everyone going down the same road?
That's a great question, because YouTube choosing this behavioral AI path is definitely part of this larger industry scramble to deal with regulations. But their competitors have actually picked pretty different routes. Instagram, for example, often uses third-party facial age estimation tech, like from a company called Yoti. Or sometimes they even use a social vouching system, where your friends basically confirm your age.
Huh. Social vouching.
Yeah. And TikTok. They seem to have a much more flexible sort of multi-option system. They might offer government ID plus a selfie, or just standalone facial age estimation using providers like Encode, or even doing like a temporary charge on a credit card.
So lots of different experiments happening.
Totally. These different strategies really show a fundamental split in how the world's biggest platforms are trying to figure out this whole online identity and age problem.
Okay, so when we pull all this together, what we've unpacked today, it really signals a clear paradigm shift, doesn't it? The internet, which used to feel so anonymous, so open, it's steadily moving towards being a much more controlled, more verified space. The era of just typing in a birthday and nobody checking, that seems well and truly over for the big players.
And this whole evolution really throws a spotlight on this core tension, right?
Yeah.
You have the goal of protecting kids online from harmful stuff, which is, a laudable goal. Everyone agrees on that. But it seems to be in direct conflict with these foundational ideas of an open internet privacy, anonymity, freedom of expression. The tech solutions we have right now seem to demand that users give up some measure of those principles.
And it makes you wonder how effective these complex systems will actually be in the long run, because it feels like this constant cat and mouse game. Platforms put up new barriers, and tech-savvy users, especially teens, often find ways around them pretty quickly, whether it's exploiting weird loopholes like that Death Stranding thing, or just using simple stuff like a VPN.
You're absolutely right. And this current situation, this chaotic, fragmented landscape where every platform has its own weird verification method, it feels unsustainable. It feels like a transitional phase. And what it's doing is creating this demand, this pressure for something more unified, something interoperable, some kind of, universal digital identity.
And that feels like it could be the next really big battleground for the future of the internet, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Could it lead to something amazing, like a privacy-preserving system using cool tech like zero-knowledge proofs? Or could it become, a surveillance nightmare, a centralized ID system that ties everything you do online directly back to your real-world self?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Yeah. When you think about all this, the future of online identity, privacy, regulation, what's the one thing that really stands out to you? What should people be mulling over?